you're doing well today. This video is all about me making a lot of stuff, I wouldn't say mass making, but multiple making. I have 4 booths in the DFW area, and I have to stock those booths for Christmas, but this Saturday we are having a Christmas open house. And I would like to get as many things done as I possibly can to get in those booths by this Saturday. So I thought I would just bring you guys along. There's not necessarily a theme. These are just things that I know sell well for me. And I thought I would just kind of show you the things that I put in my booth that I know sell well, and just also some upcycles that I think will sell well. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this. I hope you get something out of it, whether you have a booth or maybe you do craft fairs, or if you just want to make some presents for friends and family. Anyway, sit back and enjoy.
Also, toward the end of the video, I'll be announcing who our new YouTube creator is that I picked for this month. So project number 1, we're going to do some coasters. This is super easy and it does sell really well for me. This is a great gift to give somebody, teachers, friends, family. And so what I'm doing right here is I am just taking some Amber Honey Glaze by Pentart. I love this glaze because it's kind of a medium color, and I'm just wiping it on and then almost wiping it off. These coasters are kind of a very light color, and I just wanted to darken them up a little bit. After I do that, I'm going to go over them all with a Stream Guard Satin by Pentart, and that is going to get them ready for putting on some transfers. If you do not seal wood, you will have a very difficult time putting on transfers. Even if they seem like they're sealed, there's always some oils or tannins that come through. It makes it really hard. So guys, I am going through so many different books. I am basically picking out things that will fit on there, going through many different books. Basically, these are coming mainly from Crimson Velvet, Santa's Hollow, Winter Botanist, Fairy Merry Christmas, and Holly Glen. And I am basically just going to go through and transfer all of these on. I picked some that kind of looked similar. You would be surprised when you go through all of your transfers from IOD. A lot of them have similar coloring. There's tons of them that will fit on a coaster. So this is a great way to get all those scraps out and use them and make a gift that people will love. They're super cute. And I'm going to go through and just basically transfer them on. And I'm telling you, if you do not seal wood, even though that Amber Honey Glaze is somewhat of a sealant, you want to make sure that you go ahead and put a good sealant on afterwards, because I promise you, you will be a lot happier than if you try to put transfers on wood that is not sealed. And this is a pretty easy thing to do. Now that I have them all, I am taking a UV resin, and I honestly am not happy with the way this turned out, but I tried it a different way and it worked better. But I'm going to show you what I did here. I went ahead and spread the resin all across the coasters. I put this in a UV light. I have them for my nails. And what I did wrong here, guys, is I used that little spatula, and I should have just brushed it on. And I did that on another set, and they turned out really well. But anyway, this is what I did. I went ahead and put the little rubber backs on. I bought these in a kit. I will link for you in the description. And now what I'm doing is I'm just taking a little tag, and I went ahead and used that Amber Honey Glaze. I am going to put a top coat on it as well, because I'm putting these little tiny bits of transfer. I'm trying to use up all of those little tiny bits that we all have hanging around. And now I'm just going to take some twine and I'm going to tie it across my coasters. I've done a total of 6, and that makes a beautiful gift. So I purchased these little notebooks off of Amazon. They're very inexpensive. And I went ahead and decided that I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of color on these, but I don't want to just paint them. So I'm taking Highlander by Fusion. It's an all-in-one paint, and I'm kind of dry brushing the red on there. And now I'm taking some Bayberry by Fusion, and I'm going to go across it, and I'm not looking for perfect coverage, and this will warp a little bit, so you just take your heat gun when it's dry and go over it, and it'll flatten it out. And now I'm just doing some dry brushing of Raw Silk by Fusion, and see here, it just flattens it out really easy. You don't want to oversaturate these. These are you know, just paper or cardstock, so you want to just basically not put a ton of paint on them or a ton of sealant or anything like that. So now I'm just going through all of my different transfers of little pieces. We're talking Clementine of this year, Christmas Joy of this year, Crimson Velvet of last year, Santa's Hollow of this year, Winter Botanist of this year, Fairy Merry Christmas of 23, Holly Glen of 24, and that, I think that's most of them. So I'm going to go through and just figure out which ones I want to put on there. And because Fusion is an all-in-one paint, we didn't need to put a top coat on, and these just glide right off. If you did not do that, if you didn't not have a paint with a top coat built in, you would need to put a top coat on. And now that I've done that, I'm going over all of these with a Dead Flat by Paint Couture. I love Dead Flat. It is truly the only dead flat that I've seen. And I'm going over that, and I'm not doing too much because, again, you don't want to get these too wet. And this is going to seal in those transfers. And it's going to make this book a little bit sturdier. And so we just go through and I keep going. So now I'm finishing up my last one, and I've done a total of 6. I've done 3 with the Highlander and 3 with the Bayberry. I make sure I put the flat top coat on. And now I am looking at my apothecary labels, and I am going to put them on this thin mount and do the word notes. And I'm going over these little wooden tags that I bought off of Amazon. I'm going over them with that amber honey glaze, and then I am spritzing on a clear coat because, again, we're going to use some more pieces of all of our wonderful transfers from all those books. And I'm just getting little tiny pieces, cutting them if I need to, and they're going to go on the front of these tags. This entire video is about me going through my entire stash of transfers and using up all those little bits and pieces that sit around. I know you guys have them. You know, whatever you have, you can use all kinds of things. You can use napkins, you can use decoupage paper. Just get it all out and just make some nice presents for people. You can put this stuff in your booths. Okay, so we've spelled notes, and I'm going to put that on the back of each of these tags. So I'm going to do that on all of them. I've got a total of 6, so we're going to do 6 of everything that I do throughout this entire video. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and cut 6 pieces of string that are long enough, or twine that is long enough to go around my little book. And now I have this burlap ribbon that I'm not even sure where I got it, guys. I think I may have got it on Amazon or maybe Factory Direct Crafts. If I can find it, I will link it. I will link any products that I can find in the description. So I'm going to go ahead and put a dab of glue there. And I put a little piece of that backing paper on there because I don't want to go through all the way to the cover, and I'm just doing that to make a little it's a bookmark really, but it'll also keep this closed, and it's going to decorate it. And then I have this ribbon that says Merry Christmas on it. I believe I got this off of Amazon, not perfectly sure. So I put that on there and make sure I position it so the Merry Christmas is on there. Just put a dab of glue on there on each side to keep it down, and that is going to hold it in place. You know, you don't want the glue to go all the way through the burlap. You don't want to put a ton of glue. And now I'm just taking our little wooden tag that we made, and I'm going to just tie it on front. You know, to keep it closed. And that is it, guys. And these might be my favorite. I don't know. There's several of them I like, but this would be a very inexpensive, nice gift to give somebody. So our Lift Up Our YouTubers, imagine that with Carla, and we are going to replicate a video that she did just recently, and it's Christmas gifts, classy, upcycle, unusual find and decor, and I'll put the link in the description. So what we're doing is I've got these little breadboards. I bought these off of Amazon. Fairly inexpensive, and I am going over them with a 1 coat of Extreme Guard satin. I'm going to tell you that if you are trying to put transfers on wood, you have to seal it. And I actually go over it with 2 coats, let 1 coat dry and then the next coat. So now I'm going to be mixing up some milk paint. And I'm taking several colors and mixing them. I'm taking gumdrop and basil. Basil is a very dark, rich green, which I love, but I want to lighten it up a little bit for this. And so I'm going to be more bayberry than gumdrop, but I'm going to mix that up, equal parts powder to water, and I'm going to let that set for about 10 minutes so it thickens up. and I just mix it with my whisk. I like lightening up the basil a little bit, just to give it more of a Christmassy green color, not so deep. And now I'm going to take a little bit of red wagon and then add in a little bit of cherry pie. Red wagon is a beautiful red color, but I want to deepen it up a little bit. I'm trying to get close to the Highlander color and the bayberry that we used from Fusion, and I think I hit it. I'm kind of wanting all of these things to kind of sort of match. I'm going to put them all in one place in one of my booths, and I kind of want it to all look very similar in style and color, etc. So I go ahead and mix that up. Again, you want to let that set for about 10, maybe 15 minutes. And now I'm taking some creamy, and I'm putting it a little bit more powder than water because I want this to be a little bit thicker. Again, this is going to kind of match that raw silk color that we had from Fusion. And then again, I'm going through all of my transfers, and I'm just picking out ones that I think I'll be able to use on this project, on these breadboards. What's so wonderful about what we're doing here, guys, is that I am going to be pulling transfers that I want to use up, but all different sizes, from all different books, from all different years. And it's gonna, and a lot of them were using bits and pieces and mixing and matching. So now I'm taking that mixture of paint and going over these breadboards with the milk paint. The reason I used milk paint instead of the Highlander is that I know that milk paint is food safe, and even though some of the top coats may not be, in fact, actually they all are. I checked, and after they cure for about 14 days, 7 to 14 days, they are. But we're going to make these food safe. Of course, you're putting a transfer on there, so it's not really food safe. But when we get done, it's not toxic. Let's put it that way. So after they dry, and I dried it with my heat gun, there is some chipping and crazing and cracking, which is exactly what I want. You will not get that if you do not seal your wood first. I'm going to go ahead and sand off all of the extra paint, and I'm just using a sanding block to do that. And you can see there's a lot of cracking and crazing and all that kind of stuff on there. So I'm going to go ahead and spritz on there. I have a 50-50 mix of my top coat, and this is Satin by Sweet Pickins Milk Paint, and I mix it in a spray bottle with water, and I'm going to go ahead and just spritz that on there. And what that's going to do is it is going to seal the milk paint. I am going to be adding another color on top of this, that creamy, and if I do not seal this first, it will turn pink because it'll reactivate that paint, because it, unlike the Highlander that we used, Highlander had a top coat built in, so it did not mix once it was dry. So I'm going over this with that creamy. And listen, if you don't like this dry brushing with the lighter color, you definitely don't have to do that. But by the time we get done with this and add everything on, it just adds a background and a more artistic background, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and put my transfers on. I did seal it one more time that I did not show you, but I will show you in the next round. I sealed it again before I put my transfers and let it dry. And I'm just going to go ahead and be putting these transfers on. So as you can see, we are putting our green mixture on of milk paint, and I'm putting this on, and I am putting one coat on and basically kind of doing a little bit of touch up after the first coat dries. And I do dry these with my heat gun because that will initiate more cracking and crazing. You can skip that if you don't want it. If you don't want any cracking, you could put extra bond. But the point of using the milk paint, well, there's 2 points really, is I want the cracking and crazing, and I also want to put a paint on there that is food safe, even though I don't think you should be, eating food off of something that has a transfer on it. But I'm attempting to make it as food safe as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and sand off anything that is going to come off. And it does turn out nice and silky smooth when you get done. You do need to dust off any of your extra paint. I'm getting all the paint off of the edges. And if I got any paint on just the wood side, I'm going to make sure I get that off of there, because we're going to leave that wood side just wood, because we are going to seal that in a way that it is perfectly food safe. You'll be able to use it. Okay, so we're just going to sand all that off, and now I'm going to go ahead and use the white mixture, the creamy. Now, I did not seal this green. I did seal the red when I did it, but I didn't do the green because I really do not care if it mixes a little bit and gives me a little bit lighter green. I just did not want the white mixing with the red and making pink. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on all of these. So after I did that, I went ahead and got my top coat out, and I am going to seal these. I did seal the red ones as well. We're going to be putting transfers on here. If you do not do that, you won't be able to put the transfer on. So now we're going to go ahead, and I just picked out some transfers to go on these, and I'm going to just transfer them all on. And because I put the top coat, they are just going to glide right on. So now what I'm doing is I am brushing on Sweet Pickins Dark Oil Wax. I love using it over milk paint because it really gets into all those little cracks and crazing. And we're going to go over this entire thing and completely cover them. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to let those sit out for about 10 minutes. Now remember that I went ahead and sealed these prior to putting on the transfers, so it is not going to make this paint overly dark, but what it will do is it'll make that white a little bit more vintage looking. It'll make the paint a little bit darker and richer, and that is what we're trying to achieve here. It will also seal in your transfers, so you get all these bonus things when you use it. Plus, it's amazing. If you get milk paint, you just want to get this stuff because it works better. You can use a regular wax, but I think because it's so thin and that oily texture, it definitely goes in those cracks really well. So I did not put it on the wood side. I just put it on the paint side, and I'm making sure I get any extra paint off. Alright, now what I'm doing is I am using hemp foil by Fusion. Sweet Pickins also has some. I sell both of them on my website, and I am going over the part with the transfers on it and also the wood portion of it. Hemp oil is completely food safe. It dries rock hard. It is a great finish. Not only is it going to give you more protection to those transfers, but it is going to make this wood portion completely food safe, and I feel more comfortable about the other side touching food as well. Anyway, now what I'm doing is I have some additional little wooden tags. These are bigger than the other ones that I used. And I'm going to go over these with the leftover milk paint. I'm going to do the red on one side and the green on the other. And when I get done and they're dry, I'm going to go ahead and put a top coat on both sides and let those dry. Now I'm picking out little bits and pieces of transfers that will fit on these tags. That's what I'm telling you guys. This video is all about getting out all your stuff and using it. And there's such a satisfying feeling of getting all those little bits and pieces and finding a place to use them and create with, maybe make gifts, stuff that you can sell. I just really enjoyed that whole process. When you get done, you do have to put a sealer on these because to protect your transfers. And I stamped on the back of these. I didn't show you that, but I stamped on the back of these with a little stamp that I got on Amazon. It says Merry Christmas. I left enough room that somebody could write something on it. And now what I'm doing is I am using Vintage Photo by Ranger and just kind of going around the edges of the tags just to darken up the edges a little bit. And then I'm just kind of using a paintbrush to kind of make sure that I get them on evenly, and then even going over the top of the tag a little bit. I'm making the holes a little bit bigger, which I really didn't need to do because I ended up finding twine to fit in there. And now I have these little cheese spreader thingies, whatever that you use with your charcuterie boards or your cheese balls or whatever. And I bought those off of Amazon. And I am going to take little tiny pieces of transfers and put them on here. And in full disclosure, I did put a clear coat on all of these because I knew that I would not be able to put these transfers on there. And I am jazzing these up. Carla's that she used were I think engraved. Mine didn't have anything on it, so I wanted to jazz them up. Now I'm just taking a bunch of pieces of ribbon, and I am gonna make some bows. I just take my twine. This is just a messy bow, and then I'm just gonna use that twine to tie it in the middle and make sure these sides are long enough that I can tie this around my packaging that we're going to use. And I'll trim it up to make sure that the sides of those bows are somewhat even and cohesive. But it is a messy bow. And now I'm just taking some thicker twine, and I have a cheese ball mix in there, and I actually sell these, so I went ahead and put that on the back where the wood portion is so you could still see the front, and I'm tying it on there. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that little cheese spreader thingy and put it in front so you can see it. And I'm going to put that inside this little cellophane bag that I bought off of Amazon. I'm going to go ahead and tie my bow in front of this. And I'm going to go ahead and put that cute little tag that we made and on there so you can see it in front. And that's it, guys. I think these made a great little gift. I'll let you know how they sell. I have not done that before. And make sure you check out Carla's channel. I put the link in the description. So you just go over to Carla's channel and you will say Tina sent me and subscribe. And in a week I will pick out a winner, and you get to win one of these breadboards and the whole little package just by doing that, and get to find a new YouTuber if you haven't already found her. And if you have already found her, still go over there and say Tina sent me and leave a comment, and I will include you in the giveaway. So go check her out. Okay, so I have these tags. I bought these off of Amazon. They're a very lightweight wood. I love that wood graining in it. But I am going to take that same milk paint mixture, and I am going to go across all of these basically with just a very light coat. Let that dry and go with another coat. There will be no cracking or crazing because I did not seal these first, and that's okay. I'm really not wanting a lot of that on this. I think it has a kind of a vintagey look, and I'm just wanting a kind of a base color on there, kind of like we did with those little notebooks. And I'm going to let those all dry. I'm going to also do it in the green, and I will go over those with a top coat because, again, we're going to use more transfers. And I am using the dead flat. I don't want it to be overly shiny, and I love Pinkature's dead flat. If you want something that is truly dead flat, it is very flat. It really is probably the flattest flat that I've used. So I'm going to go across all of these red ones and do that, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm doing 6 red and 6 of the green. I'm going to do the exact same thing with the green as well. I make sure and I sand off all of these before I put my top coat on because that milk paint's getting kind of chunky. You cannot use milk paint after about an hour or so. It starts to get kind of, I don't know, chunky and unusable. So it is starting to get to that point. Anyway, I went ahead and put a top coat on the green as well, and now I'm going over it with, again, that creamy. And after I do that, I'm going to go over these again with a top coat, that flat, just because I am going to be putting transfers on, and I know that having that top coat on is going to make a world of difference. And I have just picked out a whole bunch of different ones, and that will fit on those tags, and even some that they don't fit perfectly. That's okay. I layer some of them. These are from all of those books that I mentioned earlier, and just found places to put them. And if you put a transfer on and some of it doesn't go on, you just lay it back down like a puzzle and go back over it. And it really doesn't matter if they hang over the sides a little bit. You can just sand those little edges off. You can pull them off with your fingers. You'd be amazed how well they look even when they're not on there perfectly. And I just keep on going till I get done with all of my tags. So now I have out my apothecary labels again. The great thing about this little stamp set, it's got several different fonts and sizes of letters. And I spelled out to and from. I'm going to put this on the back of all of those tags. And I'm using the IOD permanent ink. You want to use a permanent ink. And make sure I heat set all these, or you can just let it air dry, but I don't have time for that. Anyway, so I go ahead and put to and from on all of the backs of these, and I wanted it to be, rather large just because these are pretty large tags. And I'm going to go ahead and do that on all 12 of them. After I do that, guys, I have these little rusty bells. I actually I rusted these myself. You definitely can buy them rusty, but I just bought a big bag of them. I think they were on clearance at Hobby Lobby, and I rusted them. And I'm going to go ahead and put 2 of them on each one of these tags and just kind of tie a knot at the top to keep them in there. And that is going to just kind of decorate them up a little bit, make them a little extra. And now what I'm doing is, this is going to take these over the top. I'm using Tuscany by Fusion. It is a clear wax that smells amazing. And I'm also going to be using the dark wax by Sweet Pickens that also smells amazing. And I'm going to mix 2 of those together. And I'm going to make just a very light, dark wax that I'm going to go over the front. Now, these have been sealed on the front, guys. Remember, we sealed the front, but the back, we have not put any sealer on. It's just very important if you want to do this. Don't put any sealer on the back. Because these are so porous, it's going to absorb that amazing smell from that Tuscany and also the dark wax. They have very similar kind of citrusy smell to them, and it's just an amazing smell. I wish you could smell them. And this is going to make these tags smell great. So this is our last project, and I love making these clipboards. They're very inexpensive to buy. I buy them in bulk, and I love how they're practical they are and how good they turn out, and there's so many things you can use on them. I'm going to be using transfers. You can also use decoupage. Any of this stuff, guys, you could use decoupage, you could use napkins, whatever you have. So I'm going to take out that fusion paint again in the bayberry, and I am going to go over this. This takes the paint very well. It's basically almost like raw wood, so it absorbs the paint super well. And I like using the all-in-one paints, not just from Fusion, but also from Paint Couture. Whenever I am doing thrift flips that I'm going to sell, it saves me time, and I if I'm going to put a transfer on it, I don't have to worry about putting a top coat on it. And it covers very, very well. So I am going to do 3 of these clipboards in red and green. I'm going to put the red on the back of 2, and then I'm going to put the green on 1. Basically just flip red and green on both of them. The red is still the Highlander that we used before. One thing about doing making a lot of things for a booth, if you use the same colors, it'll really make it go a lot quicker. So now what I'm doing is I am taking my metal pigment in copper from Pentart, and you mix that with pigment fix that I'm using right there. You have to use a metal pigment, and I have it in several different colors. Mix it up to the consistency of paint. It takes a little bit because it's a very lightweight pigment powder, but it mixes to a absolutely brilliant shiny mix that sticks to anything and stays on. And that's the main reason I'm using it, is I am going over the silver portion of that clip with this. Don't worry if you get it somewhere else. We can always do touch up. I don't do the touch up till I'm all done with my painting. And I'm going to go over all of the portions of that silver that show on the clip. And then I'm going to go all the way around the edges on the front and the back. And I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just kind of feathering it on so I can outline this clipboard. And you'll also see the brush strokes in that paint, and that's mainly because my paint was starting to get kind of thick, and also the brush that I used. But that's okay. I want that. I probably would have put salt wash in with my paint otherwise. I want to have that texture because later on we're going to do something to it where that texture is going to be a positive, in my opinion. So now what I'm doing is I am painting over with that same copper mixture pieces of the Victoriana mold. If you have not gotten that, it came out in the IOD Christmas release. I'm not sure why it's deemed Christmas and it's limited. When it sells out, they're not going to remake it, because I think you could definitely use these all year long, and I don't see anything Christmassy about it. But anyway, I'm going to let those dry, and now I have gone through all of my transfers, and I have picked some to go on the front and the back. I'll pick out a bigger transfer to go on the front. And on these clipboards, guys, I use a zip tie to keep it open. I did that in the very beginning. I don't know if I said that, but a subscriber gave me that idea. She said her husband saw her struggling like me. And yeah, so that is a great tip. And I don't remember who it is, or I would give you a shout out. If you're out there, let me know. But yeah, great tip. So I go over these. Whenever you're doing transfers that have a lot of words, you just kind of have to work on it a little bit. Make sure that you burnish them all down, especially when you've got a bunch of words. And now I'm going to go through and I'm going to do the front of this one. The last one was from Clementine, and this one is from Winter Botanist. Clementine and Winter Botanist are from this year, and they have some gorgeous, gorgeous transfers in them, guys. I like that kind of look. It's kind of non-traditional, but it is very, I don't know, super classy, and so many things you can use it on. Now, this is part of, I believe, Very Merry Christmas, and I am cutting the middle portion of this wreath out. The reason I'm doing that is I want to put this other little fairy in the middle of the wreath, and I have to kind of see where I'm going to place her. So I figure out where I'm going to put the wreath on here, and then I kind of position my fairy in there to get an idea of where she needs to be. If I didn't cut the hole out in the middle, I wouldn't be able to see her. So I put a piece of tape on the top of that piece of transfer so it doesn't move on me, and I have it positioned in the right spot, and then I'm going to go ahead and get that on there, and now I can put my wreath on and see my fairy. So yeah, that's just, if you haven't ever done that, that's a little tip. And these come off fairly easy, and I have a little boo-boo there where somehow I rubbed in that section. Easy fix, just get a little paint that matches and put that in there, and nobody will ever see it. And this is the back of that clipboard, and that also comes from the Fairy Mary. And this is another one. This comes from Winter Botanist, and I'm putting this on the back of the one that we use, the Winter Botanist. And now this is one from Clementine, and I'm using that on the back of the one that we used, the Clementine. So I've got one more clipboard left that I need to do, and I am flipping through my stuff, and I am going to use Christmas Joy. And I collect antique postcards, and I'm telling you guys, they look just like this. So this is designed, I know, after antique postcards, which you used to be able to get reasonably inexpensive, but now I don't know what's going on, but it's very, very hard to get that type of ephemera now for a reasonable price. So this looks just like it, and I am going to put this wording on the bottom. That Christmas Joy is fantastic. It has that very antique look to it. And now I decided I needed something in the corner, so I cut out this little bell, and I am going to piece that on top of the left over there, and that gives me kind of a more complete look. And yeah, I love how that looks. And now this is what I'm putting on the back. Again, honestly, if you look at any of those old antique postcards, this is identical type of pictures that you'll see on there. Now I kind of made a boo-boo on this one, and I also wanted to put something on the right hand side to kind of balance it out. So I'm going to cover up my little scratch that I made there, and then I'm going to add this little piece of holly down there, and yeah, just layer your transfers to get them where you want. I have this little piece of mistletoe. I don't know, it's just laying around, so I thought I'll just throw that in there. So now that I've gotten all my transfers on, I am going to go over all of them with Extreme Guard Satin by Paint Couture. I like this as a top coat. It's not overly shiny, but I want to make sure that I put a good top coat on these so that people can wipe this down. I sell them kind of as a recipe holder, or you can use it for pictures, whatever you want. And now I took my zip ties off, and I'm going to put some touch-up paint anywhere that I might need to. And now I'm taking my little pieces of the Victoriana, and I am using, it's a super glue with an accelerant. CA Glue is a brand, but you can buy different ones on Amazon. I love this stuff. I use it all the time. Anyway, I'm putting these little pieces of the Victoriana on the top, and it's just a matter of putting your glue on and putting these in place, and put your accelerant on, and basically that's it. And they're stuck and they won't come off. I like using that much better than hot glue. I know they're not going to come off, and I've done this on a gazillion little, not a gazillion, but you know, a lot of these little clipboards, and they haven't come off. The ones I've used hot glue on, though, not so good. A lot of them come off. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish up on these, and just get on to the next step. All right, so the next step is we're going to take the aging wax by Fusion, and the aging wax by Fusion is really kind of a perfect color, not black, not brown, and it gives things a very vintage, perfect look, I think, very natural, normal. I'm going to put this all over. It's going to take the shine off of that top coat that we put on. Now the top coat is going to keep it from getting overly dark, just like if you put a clear wax down first. And that is part of the reason we did that, for protection, and also so that when I did this step, that the paint and the transfer didn't get overly dark. And the really good thing is all of those brush strokes and that texture will grab that wax, and it'll give it a really nice vintage look to it. And I'm going to do this on all of my clipboards, the front and the back. I am heating up a bronze antiquing paste by Pentart, and I am going to use it on a paintbrush. This is a flat brush. I'm going over my mold, and I am just going to hit the tops of the mold to give it more definition. This bronze is a little bit darker than the copper. It's going to antique the copper a little bit. It's going to tone that shininess down, so it kind of goes with our more antique look that we just established with putting the dark wax on. I'm going to do that anywhere there's copper. I take just a artist brush and kind of go over the edges. And the reason I kind of melted that wax a little bit, and don't worry, it hardens right back up very quickly. And I do that just so that I can use it almost like a paint. And I'm not going for perfect here, guys. I'm just doing a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a cloth, and I'm going to buff it all down. And if you get any wax where you don't want it, just take some clear wax and put it on top of it, and it will erase right off. And then I take these vintage postcards or replica postcards, and I put them on there. That's how I display them in my booth. And I love how these turned out, guys. Let me know what you think. that's the end of the video, guys. If you happen to need any IOD, Fusion, Pinkator, Pentart, Sweet Pickins, milk paint, JRV, recycled, and decoupage paper, you can get that on my website, rehashdesigns.com. The link will be in the description. Do not forget to go visit Carla's channel and say Tina sent me so you can be entered in the giveaway. And yeah, look at all the stuff I made here. I'm going to have a lot to put in my booth. And anyway, I hope you guys like this and get out all your stuff and just go to town. You can make so many fun things with all of those little bits and pieces and all that stuff you've just been hoarding, and make some really nice gifts or things that you can sell. And anyway, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me today, and I will have another video. I'm hoping to have one on Saturday. It's going to be a little different. I think you'll like it though. Anyway, take care. Bye-bye, guys.